So for this video, I'll be spending a few days wandering around the streets of Rome, checking out all kinds of interesting sights. And I really think you might want to tag along with me on this one. Yes, I'll be giving you a look at that thing both inside and out. An exploration of Palatine Hill, and the Roman Forum too. We'll be seeking out all the most interesting sights in town, as well as descending into the darkness and basking in the light. And yeah, you know there's definitely going to be some food along the way. Of course there'll be food along the way. So get ready, we're taking on Rome. There is definitely a lot to see amidst all the hustle and bustle of these city streets. For convenience, I decided to base myself near Termini Station. I'll be showing you that room a little bit later. But right now, take a look at this. One of the first sights I encountered in Rome was this Fountain of Moses. You're going to notice there are fountains all over Rome. And the cool part about this is the water is actually drinkable. So be sure to stay hydrated. Speaking of fountains, here is a site you might recognize. This one is situated at the base of the Spanish Steps. That church that you see up top, that is the Trinita de Monte, which was actually founded by the French in 1502. And I'm sure by looking at that tree you can tell exactly what time of year it is. These twin structures can be encountered by wandering up the street just a bit, where nearby you will also see a large Renaissance gate. This massive construct was at one time the northern entrance to the city of Rome. Passing through these archways leads you into the Piazza del Popolo. One thing you are sure to notice in here is the large obelisk acting as a centerpiece. Believe it or not, this thing really is from Egypt. These obelisks can be found all over town, as Romans once brought them home as trophies of conquest. They would eventually be topped with a cross to symbolize modern dominance over the past. And yeah, they serve pretty well as great landmarks too. Nearby we have a view of the Tiber River, cutting its way through the city's landscape, with multiple bridges stretching across. This one decorated in statues leads up to the Castel Sant'Angelo, which was constructed by Hadrian in the 2nd century. Just a short walk from here brings us to Vatican City. This place is actually its own country. It gained its status as a city-state in 1929. It seems that you can march right on up into Vatican Square with very little hassle. But if you want to see the interior of St. Peter's Basilica, I'm told that's going to require some long lines and security checks too. So let's move along. Here we find ourselves in Piazza Navona, with another obelisk and a view of the 17th century Church of St. Agnes. Just around the corner we encounter the ruins of an old stadium that once stood here. This is Stadio di Domiziano. It was dedicated in the year 86 and was used mostly for athletic purposes, though they say it did feature some gladiator events during a time when the Colosseum was under repair. Search hard enough in this area and you just may find a museum dedicated to those gladiators, with some pretty interesting items on display too. While the museum is technically free, they do ask for a small donation in the gift shop above, but I thought it was totally worth it. Now I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Trevi Fountain. Yeah, that place where you toss in a coin to ensure your return to Rome. Well, all that water has to come from somewhere, right? Now let's head back down underground for a bit, because down here you can take a tour beneath the fountain to see the ancient waterway that provides for it. And while you're down here, you can learn a bit more about the history of the area too. It is super interesting. I really recommend this one. Another landmark that you are sure to have heard of is the Pantheon. This 2,000-year-old Roman temple now serves as the Catholic Church that currently holds services. You're sure to be blown away by the interior of this thing. And inside it actually houses the tombs of some really important people, such as the first king of Italy, Queen Margherita, and even the well-known Renaissance artist Raphael. That oculus you see up top, in the center of the dome, not only does it function as a light source, but it is said to also symbolize a connection between heaven and earth. And even the floor in here is impressive. You gotta see this place.
See that church behind me? It is said they're in possession of the severed head of John the Baptist. But sorry, they wouldn't let me see it.
Yeah, good luck gaining access to that one. But if you're yearning to see something a bit macabre, I do have a surprise for you. This is the crypt of the Capuchin friars located at the Church of Santa Maria della Concezione. Inside, the bones of a few thousand faithful servants are on display, as well as some that seem to be, well, fully intact too. While this place may not be for the faint of heart, it is one that some of you will definitely want to seek out. So if you want to know where to find this ghastly sight, look for it just a stone's throw away from Bernini's Trevi Fountain at Piazza Barberini.
Apparently some of you think I need to do more food in my videos, so here we go.
Yes, Rome really is a foodie's paradise. But for breakfast, well, that's usually just going to consist of coffee and pastries like this cannoli. Now, lunch on the go in Rome is always easy because there are pizza by the slice places located all over town. You'll find some really interesting combinations too, but sorry, they don't do pineapple. Now, see that fried thing right over there? That is a soupli, which is stuffed with cheese and rice. Very tasty too. But for dinner, it is time to go all out with something like this spaghetti carbonara. You'll find this dish to be popular all over Rome. Most restaurants do have it. Yeah, of course, the wine tends to flow around here and greatly complements some of those traditional dishes like lasagna. And yeah, the ravioli too. Now, a meal that I found especially appealing was this pesto pasta with tuna, followed by some of that very well-known tiramisu for dessert. And of course, you just can't leave town without trying the classic Italian gelato. Alright, now it is time to walk off all those calories as we pass by a group of ruins that date back to sometime between 400 and 100 BC. Interestingly enough, they say that this is the spot where Julius Caesar was assassinated. Not too far away from there, we have the Altar of the Fatherland, a national monument to Victor Emmanuel II, who was the first king of a unified Italy. And yeah, I'll admit it, I have absolutely no idea what that thing is right there. But take a look at this. We are now walking by what remains of Trajan's Forum, which was constructed in the 1st century. And right now, all along this historic promenade, you'll be greeted by bronze statues of important figures, such as Julius, Augustus, and yeah, even Trajan himself. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I told you I was going to give you a peek inside that mighty Colosseum, and as usual, I do tend to deliver on these kinds of things, so here we go. All throughout this place, you'll see all kinds of interesting examples of Roman architecture. But let's start things off with one of the upper levels to get a good view of this enormous amphitheater that was constructed during the Flavian dynasty in the 1st century AD. Back in the day, most of this right here would have been covered by a wooden floor, then topped with sand, to create a much larger battlefield for the gladiators. But you see that open section in the center down there? That was the staging area where animals would be kept while waiting to be released into the action. That would have been accomplished with the use of elevators and trapdoors. Now let's go down closer for a better look. After taking in that mighty Colosseum, it is now time for us to head back outside for a walk up Palatine Hill. Here we pass by the Arch of Titus, erected in his honor in the 1st century AD. Palatine Hill is actually considered to be the birthplace of Rome. Up here you will find a series of pathways surrounded by palace ruins of former emperors like Augustus and Tiberius. There is quite a bit to see here as you walk your way through history, but one thing you definitely need to seek out while you're in this area is this amazing viewpoint. This, without a doubt, is one of the best places to take in a bird's eye view of the city. From up here you can see most of the Roman Forum down below. Now take a good look, because that is actually where we're headed to next. You really need to be prepared to spend some time down here, because the Forum is absolutely enormous. This is the Temple of Antonius and Faustina. It was built by the Emperor Antonius in the 2nd century AD and dedicated to his deceased wife. Just across from here you can see what remains of the Temple of Vesta. This structure was built on a circular foundation surrounded by 20 columns. It was said to have housed the holy fire of Rome that was tended by the Vestal Virgins. There really is a lot to see in this area, so you're probably going to feel a bit overwhelmed. But you really need to take a look at this marble slab right here. This is said to have been the location of the funeral pyre of Julius Caesar. And just around this nearby wall, you'll find the resting place of his ashes. And now to take a look at that hotel room.
So just arrived in Rome and checked into Hotel Sonya. Let's take a look around. Now this is a pretty cool room, a little small, but hey, this is all I need. Let me show you the bathroom now. Very nice bathroom. It is a little small too, and especially the shower. If you're larger, watch out with this thing. Now here's what's funny. I actually got stuck in here. Watch this. Check this out. See a problem there? Yeah, I was actually stuck in there for a couple of minutes until I figured out that it actually goes inward too. You can push in and get out that way. Only if you're small enough. So if you are a little larger, be careful in here. And I'm not sure what this string is right here, so I would say don't pull that either. All right, yeah.
What I have shown you in this video walking around Rome only provides a small preview of what you'll actually find here. The entire town basically functions as a large open-air museum, offering a look into the past of Western civilization. But don't think that I just limited myself to the city. I ventured out in the countryside too. So be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, because there are many more adventures on the way. And until next time, arrivederci from Rome.